Have you ever filled out a form online and wondered what those dancing letters and numbers and how websites protect themselves from bots and spam? Yes, you are correct. The answer is CAPTCHAs. And today we are going to learn them. Hi, hello guys. This is Sharat Chandar K. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me today. In this video, we will create our own simple CAPTCHA generator tool using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Without wasting your time, let's dive into a quick demo. In this demo, you will understand what is CAPTCHA and how we generate and validate through our app. CAPTCHA stands for Completely Automated Public Turning Test to Tell Computers and Humans Apart. It's a type of security measure known as Challenge Response Authentication. A CAPTCHA test is made up of two simple parts: a randomly generated sequence of letters and numbers that appear in the text box. To pass the test and prove your human identity, simply type the character you seen in the box into the input below and hit the validate icon next to it. It will notify us if the entered CAPTCHA is valid or not. We need to enter the same string as above, which will check both values with case sensitivity and return the response. If I change this uppercase K to lowercase and I try to hit again validate, it will throw a response invalid CAPTCHA, try again. As I mentioned, we need to enter the same string with the case sensitivity. If I change it again and now it will get the response valid CAPTCHA. Here we have an option to regenerate CAPTCHA every time. So here I can able to regenerate, I can enter and I can recheck again if it is valid or not. By the end of this video, you will have a fully functional, secure and effective CAPTCHA generator tool that you can integrate into your own project and secure your websites. That's all for the demo. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. Make sure to subscribe for more coding tutorials and tech content. Let's build our own. I have already created a project folder name called CAPTCHA Generator. Let me open this into a Visual Studio Code. So let's drag this file. Visual Studio will load the files and I have already created a index.html, style.css and script.js along with images folder with two support PNGs. In the index.html, we are going to add the HTML boilerplate. For that, we need to type exclamatory symbol and it is a embed abbreviation to create a HTML boilerplate. And then we'll change the title to CAPTCHA Generator by Sharat Chandar K. And we'll link the external files into the HTML. So first I will link the link.css. For that we have a embed abbreviation for this link colon and CSS. If we hit enter, it will automatically add the style.css into the HTML. The link tag is most often used to link the external style sheet and will add the script tag and then source. And we need to type the source directory, that is script.js. A script tag is used to embed a client-side script or it's point to an external script file through the source attribute. Now let's add the HTML code. We'll add the HTML inside the body. The body element contains all the content of an HTML document. Inside that, we'll have a div. A div tag defines a division or a session in an HTML document. For that, we have an abbreviation. We'll type div with dot container. Hit enter. It will create a div element with the class attribute with the value of container. Inside the container, we'll add a two rows. Div dot row into 2. If we hit enter, the abbreviation will create a two rows and hit enter. Inside the first row, we'll add the auto generated CAPTCHA values. So for that, I will use the div tag with class attribute name input and the ID should be auto generated value. It will create a div with the class attribute value of input and then ID attribute with the value of auto generated value. And then I will add a image. Image tag is used to embed an image into an HTML page. With the image, I will add the source from the image folder called refresh. This image we are going to use as a event button. The second row we need to add the input. The input tag specifies an input field where the user can enter data. So input type should be text and then ID should be user CAPTCHA value. It will create a input with the attribute type text and then ID should be user CAPTCHA. We'll add user CAPTCHA value. and add another image source from the image folder. This should be a refresh. This is a validate event. Inside that container, we add h2. The h2 tag used to define the HTML headings. We'll mention a heading called CAPTCHA generator. We'll add another heading with h5. This should be a alert message. Let's see our HTML in action. So in Visual Studio Code, we have a extension called Go Live. Once we click that, it will automatically open the live server into the default browser. What is the use of live server? So if I change any of this, for example, if I add a input value to test, if I save this, see now you can, without refresh, it will automatically taken care. If you modify, if you hit save, it will automatically reload the browser. This is what the live server do. So I will remove, I will save it again. It will see now it will automatically remove the value from the input box. Now let's add the styles. In the CSS, I will add the asterisk. Asterisk is a wildcard and means all the elements. So if I add the styles to the asterisk, so for example, I will add the margin with 0. So if I save this, so you can see all the margin set to 0. So I will set padding to 0 and then we'll set font family to Poppins, and then secondary should be sans serif, box sizing to border box, and I will add the Google font import to the Poppins. Now you can see the difference. If I undo this, so this font is different. If I add the Poppins, now this font is different. We'll add the styles to the body. How we can add the styles to the body? This is a element. It will directly reachable to the element name. So if I add this to the element name with the body, so I will add a background color to light blue. If I save this, now we can able to see the background. And if we are going to set for this particular div, if we set this div, it will applicable for all the divs. So only we added a class attribute with the value. Now we need to set the styles to this particular div. So that we have an option to set a style with the dot and with the name. If I set this background color to white, I will add a width of this container with 450 px. This is body and this is a container. So we can split this. I can set this min height .ph. So I need to set this container to center of the body. So I will set this display flux box, and align item should be center, justify content also center. If I save this, see you can see the container in the center. I can add a padding 25 px and border radius should be 30 px. So this we have more circle on this. So I change to 10. So now you can see this. First I will fix this image element name, and I can set this height 40 px, and then cursor should be pointer. If I save this, see now you can say this both icon is same here, check mark. If I save this, see you can change it is. The next thing, we'll add a style for body and then container, and we'll go to the heading. So as I said earlier, we can directly use the element name to set the styles. Text align center, margin bottom 20 px, so we can get some gap over it. Then next should be row. So we are going to set both the rows. So I can use this dot row display flux. Again, I need to set this into center of the container, and then for both element I need to set the gap of 10 px, and then margin bottom 25 px for both the elements, and align item should be center. And now we'll add the CSS for the input box. So for the input box, we need to set the styles for both about div as well as the below input box. So for that, we have added this as a class and this as element. For this element, we never add any class attribute. So how we can add a styles for this? So for that, we have an option. So for the element, we can use the element name. And for the styles, we can use the dot style name with the help of comma attribute. So the comma attribute, it will help to add the styles for both the elements. So if I save this, now you can see this 100, both the values should be 100. So if I add border, you can clearly see 1px solid, and I can add little gray color. Now you can see both this value, and I can set height of 50px. Inner space padding should be 10px. I'll set font size of 20px, and again border radius be 10px. Text align should be center. Save this. Now you can see the styles is applicable for both the elements. The input contains input element, and then dot input contain the div element. Now jump into the script. From the JS, the declaration start. For that, we'll check the document. What is document? The document object represent your web page. See, in the document, we can able to see all the elements. Document object is the owner of all object in your web page. If you want to access any of the element in an HTML page, you are always start with accessing the document object. We'll start with accessing the document object with the help of ID. The easiest way to find an HTML element in the DOM is by using the element ID. So for that, so I can declare this auto captcha value document dot get element by ID, and I will go to the HTML file. As I said, ID is the easiest way to find the element. So I will copy this ID and I will paste here. We'll add other declarations also. Second declaration is user captcha value. So I have added a comma here. It is enough for added one const variable. User captcha equal to document dot get element by ID, and then ID value, and then we are going to add a message into that heading element. So for that also I will declare with document dot get element by ID, and now we'll save this. In the declaration, we will create functions of what we are going to do. Now, what is function? Function is a block of code designed to perform a particular task. The function is executed when someone invokes it or calls it. For that function, we have a keyword function with the name is user defined. We can mention it generate auto captcha. Generate auto captcha. This is one function. And then another function is we need to do the validation for that. So do validate CAPTCHA. These are the two functions we are going to work on. I will add a alert. Alert contains hi. If I save this, why the alert is not popping? Because we have created the function, but we never invoked or we called it. If I save this, it will automatically pop the alert. It is called the invoke. So inside that, we try to generate CAPTCHA values. So for that, we have a option. We have a math function to generate random values. Math.random. So this will generate some random values. See, every time it will generate some random values from the math operations. We are going to create a captcha with a length. We need to give a certain length. For that, we can define a captcha length should be 6 characters. So I can add a new let declaration with the length value of 6. With the help of this length, with the math operation, it will be applicable and it will generate the value within this length 3, 3.4, 3.5, and we can math dot floor. We have one more option. This will be round off our values. If I save this 0, 3, 5, 2, it will be applicable inside the length. We need to create a random characters. If it is a captcha, we need to generate random characters and letters, right? So for that, we will create one const random char with the values of random characters. Okay, the random characters contains uppercase and then lowercase and then numbers. We can get this random string 6 character inside this random char. So for that, I will create a for loop. For loop let I, and then array should be only length because we are going to get this random characters within this length, right? So I will remove this and then random char values. So for example, if I set this I, so I will remove this console.log. So it will get 8 to 5 f. These are the 6 characters. So how we can get the random values? As I already said, we have this math.random with the length. So if I set this, we will get this random characters. So what I will do, I will use this and I will add here math.floor math.random into random character random character dot length. I need to get the index. So if I save this random character length, we will get the index value with this random character length. If we get out of this length, we will get the undefined value and will throw the error. So we can make this, we need to get the index of within these values. I will create one more let index console.log the random character values with the index. So now see, now you can get different value every time. And we can concatenate this string into an array. So we can see all the string within one line. So for that, I will create let captchas array. I will push this value. I will push the values into this array. Console.log this captchas. So we can get this. So if we refresh, it will be an array. So we need to join this array into a single. So for that, captchas dot join this array. See, now we can see this values. Randomly it will generate. So for that, we need to pick this icon. So this is we are considering as a event. So we need to go to HTML and in this image we can add a on click and invoke the generate methods and with the open and close bracket we'll call this. So if I do this, it will automatically, and the same thing for validate also. I will add the on click and I will get the do validate captcha method function and I will invoke and I will call this. Now we'll get this value and we need to show into this input element, right? For the auto captcha dot inner HTML, because this is a div. For the div, we need to set as a inner HTML. Let's save this. See, now every time you will get this value. See, I can able to double click. I can paste it here. So what is the use of typing this for? So that will disable this selection. So for that, we have a CSS option. In the CSS, we have a property of user select, then set none. So now you can't able to double click this. So the next thing we need to do with the validate. So if we hit this, we need to check both the string is same and we'll return the validate message. For that, we'll go to the do validate captcha function. Before that, how we'll get this captcha value? We have already generated the captcha value. Then we need to get this captcha value into this method, right? For that, I will create one global variable captcha text. With the help of global variable, we can cross check what the values entered by the user and what the values is already generated. So I will set this captcha generated text to the same thing. So console.log the captcha text. If I hit validate, we will get this. If I refresh, if I hit, we will get the auto generated text over here. We need to check. Before that, we need to get this input value as well. So we have an option and user dot value. If I validate this, we will get IVUM. Now if I hit validate, see, these are the values entered by user and these are the values is auto generated. So we need to compare this both values. If both values same, we'll return a valid message. Else will show the incorrect captcha. So for that, we can add a if condition. We can check with, and here with this, we no need to add the space here for the captcha text. So for that, I will remove a space from here. We can check the type string. If you use triple equal to, it will check with the type conversion. So we need to check with the type conversion. So if I entered UPOADS and see, there is a difference with the case sensitivity. Both the values not same. What we will do, we'll show the message dot inner text. This is the heading element. So we show this inner text equal to valid captcha. Else we'll show the message invalid captcha. Try again. So if I save this, so if I enter, now this is showing invalid captcha. Try again. So this should be center. So I will add comma and h5. So it should be center invalid captcha. So if I enter the string as same with the case sensitivity, and if I hit validate, see, now we'll get the validate captcha. So now we'll do some styling on this. So we'll add this. So what we are going to do, we'll set the class. We'll create a class for green and color green and dot red. Color should be red. So what I will do, I will go to the script again. I will add that class while validation, while set attribute. I will add the class value because we are created with the dot. So if it is valid, we'll add the green color. If it is invalid, we'll add the red color. And JHGY54. See this? See, now we'll get the valid captcha. If I remove this 4 and I will hit invalid captcha. If I refresh, these two things need to remove. Right, for that, in that auto generator, I will set this message inner text to null and user captcha value in null. Now if I will refresh from here, it will generate every time, and I will J9NJXL. It validate, now it is validate, and now if it is invalid captcha, if I refresh, both will be removed, and every time we can able to generate the what the tool is generated and what we are typing. Both the font family is same, so we can differentiate this auto generated font family. So for that, what I will do, I will go here and I will add dot input and font family. So add this, see, now we can see the difference of this font and this. If I refresh, it will be some kind of system generated. So this font is should be different, so we can able to see the difference of this both sides. As I said in the earlier, these random characters should be based on this length, so we can able to change the length. Previously we have set this length to 6. Now if I able to change to 8, see, now it will generate the 8 characters. So if I refresh also, it will generate 8 characters. If I change to 10, so it will generate the 10 characters. And then validation also should be the 10 characters. CQY. See, this is how. So it could be simple as it is. So only we set this length to 6. If you are very much interested on a JavaScript project, I have already created a playlist name called JavaScript Project for Beginner to Advanced. I have added a link in the description. Please do check it out. There are very cool projects in that list. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, keep coding, keep learning. See you in the upcoming videos. Bye for now. Have a nice day.